Hello, I'm Tom Mead. I'm a figurative artist. It's the 18th of October 2024, and I'm answering these questions for Art by Artists. So, question one: what's my background? I'm from a working class background that isn't particularly creative, to be honest. As does every child, I've always drawn, painted, sculpted growing up and just never really stopped. And it's only through having these conversations with other people when they ask me these questions, I realise how kind of by chance it was that I pursued art further and further. I was very close to not choosing to study it, like higher education, and never considered that I was going to go to university, and definitely not to study art. But these things just sort of kept naturally happening until all of a sudden, well, now I've been self-employed for about 7 years, so there's a lot of luck and I feel grateful for it, but also having that kind of socio-economic background, I do feel like I'm not supposed to be part of the world. I think the fine art world is not made for working class people. Definitely not younger ones, especially. It's a real struggle there, and that has actually informed a lot of my art. A lot of my artwork has become, almost meta in that case, where the artwork is about being a creative and the struggles that can come with that, depending on your background. That's been a huge influence, alongside just sort of more what I would call real life struggles that me, my peers, my families are going through. Question 2, who are my biggest influences? My biggest influences, I have a few, I would say. Sometimes I separate them into this kind of technical painting influences. So for which I'd say Ewan Uglow is a huge one. I just love his sort of breaking down of 3 dimensions to 2 dimensions, but doing it in such a kind of accurate way that you then want to believe the 3 dimensions and the form comes back, because he's just fantastic at the colour decisions and tonal decisions for his kind of flat planes. And also working from life, I try and do that as much as I can, and I find that it's just a fantastic way to work, and he reminds me of that a lot. A more contemporary example would be James Bland, who is just someone who can capture a sense of like believability with so few marks, and sometimes odd colour choices, but just even if it's 5 brushstrokes, they all feel like they're in the perfect place. And there's something I really admire and look up to, even if it's not exactly what I am going to aim for in my own work. It just reminds me of why I love painting and the medium. Stuart Pearson Wright is a big influence, especially just as I would say like a kind of role model figure in terms of an artist who, well, as well as being a very working class as well, just feels like he's someone out there who's painting what he wants to paint. And I saw his solo show, and that was a huge influence, because at the time I was having a little bit of a crisis of should I be making work that's maybe appealing more to market trends and seeing it work for peers of mine, and considering that I should have to put, I suppose, the business side of things first to survive. And then I saw his solo show, and it just completely reminded me of, this career is I suppose the career part of it is secondary, and the creative exploration is what really matters. That's what's going to fulfill me, and it's more important to make the work I want to make and perhaps have to get another job than to make the work that might sell or be more appealing to larger communities or galleries, just to make money. That's not what it's about. That's not going to fulfill me. And his work's incredible and just very genuine and authentic. I just saw that at the perfect time to remind me of that. I have other influences that can come from all over. Lyrics in the Beach Boys music really speaks to me, and a lot of the themes that I look for in my work. Same with some odd sort of shows and movies. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. I absolutely love, and that kind of warped view of childhood or childhood things, nostalgia. I love all of that. And movements like Cubism, trompe-l'oeil, anything that skews around with our perception of things in 2 and 3 dimensions. And a contemporary example would be the photographer Alma Hasser. Very big fan of their work. Question 3, what am I focusing on right now? I'm working on this series. I'm just calling them the Cardboard series. Currently, I was secretly making a lot of this work for about a year, and fairly recently I've actually started to put it out there and show people the kind of portfolio that I've been building up. It's a new process for me, and as far as I can tell, it's fairly unique, where I am creating miniature cardboard sets, very crude sets, very reminiscent of the kind that I would make as a child, and introducing characters' narrative into these sets through, could be plasticine figures or toys or puppets that I'm making, or what I find interesting is printing, taking reference photos of figures and then printing them to scale for the sets, and occasionally folding or cutting or painting over them to enhance whatever narrative that I'm going for. So I'm loving the results of it. I'm having so much fun making the work, which is so important, and there's so much potential, which I'm so excited about. I have sketchbooks with about 40 more planned paintings that I still want to do in this series. I have full control of absolutely everything, which I absolutely love, and I love the uncanniness that comes from the results as well. It's always a bit offbeat, a little bit uncomfortable looking, but also humorous. There's kind of like, how to put it, there can be a lot of drama in a lot of the narratives that I go for in the initial starting point, and I love to undercut that drama with a sense of humour, really. Even if it's like a bit of dark humour or tongue-in-cheek, like just something to make sure I'm not taking things too seriously. And I think in a way that sometimes enhances the sadness of a piece. Someone looking very sad in a painting is a bit too much, possibly a bit too saccharine on its own. But if I can find a way to sort of play with it, laugh at it, but there's still a very sad person in the painting, it almost feels like there's a joke being played on them. And I enjoy that a lot, as well as just the sense of the confusion between scale and flatness, realism, space. These things just really, really, really interest me, and I'm absolutely loving making this work. What are the biggest challenges of being an artist? The biggest challenges of being an artist for me again, coming back to the working class background, I just was not prepared for how much harder it would be. I think I've had a lot of luck and been able to do quite well, and I've always made a living each year from being self-employed, which I'm very proud of. And that's still not quite enough. And there's much bigger things to play there in terms of the housing crisis and just how bad the economic situation is. COVID obviously played a point as well. But the high fine art industry is very much catered to the wealthy. And I've seen it since graduating university. The people that I see, my peers that do well or don't do well, I would say there's not much correlation between their skill level or technical ability or concepts. The people who do the best are the people who have very wealthy backgrounds, because at least I'm going to just say the London art scene, you're kind of supposed to just survive without making much money for 5 or so years. It's, if you want to be seen by the galleries, you should probably do a master's course, which can set you back I think at least £30,000. You need a studio, preferably in central London, for curators to visit and just pop by and find your work. There is a ridiculous amount of outgoings that are expected to just come from you naturally, just so that some of these more important quote unquote galleries will give you the time of day. That's how I've seen it, at least, and I could be wrong about that, but it feels very much like you get priced out of the art industry at some point. I think there's a much longer game to play there as well. That's me talking about people that I don't want to say have fast-tracked the industry, because it's good that young artists are being seen, but generally I'd say that's the way that it's easier to be noticed and have things work out for you. I struggle with that a lot, and just coming to terms with it a lot, that there is so much to play in terms of not even just economic background, but also just luck. And these things just aren't spoken about in art schools, or just enough in general. What advice would I give to my younger self? The advice I give to my younger self would just be to really make work for myself. I think it's okay to not know what that is for a long time as well. The idea of chasing what's my style, what's my work about. The more paintings I do, the more I find that out, and it's naturally coming together. I feel in the last sort of year or so for me, I felt a kind of cohesion between concept and aesthetic, themes, and as much as I love to sort of jot down ideas and talk through my ideas, write about my ideas, taking influences from all these other artists. But it was through painting and just doing lots and lots and lots of painting, these things naturally emerged. And to think that I would have to work those things out and then do the paintings was a little bit naive of me, I think. Okay, have I tried any unconventional mediums or techniques? For unconventional mediums or techniques, I've been told, my current carball process is fairly unconventional, and I've really enjoyed seeing people's responses to that. Now I've started to really put it out there, and people seem to find that quite mad. So apparently that's fairly unconventional. In terms of mediums, nothing too crazy. I love acrylic paint. I'm pretty much always acrylic paint, a little bit of oil. I've tried all sorts of different surfaces on, just canvas, linen, wood, aluminium panels. I'm loving painting on gesso boards right now, especially for just sort of one sitting still life paintings. There's something about the way the acrylic behaves on that I really love. It's a little bit of a wrestle, but I really enjoy that process. I've worked to music, podcasts, and in silence. I can find them all very helpful depending on my mood. What I do hate is I've had it a few times where I end up I feel like I can't start painting until I've got music on. That's a really annoying headspace to be in, especially if I can't find the right song or album. I find myself in this like frozen state, unable to start painting until I've put something on. That's horrible. And occasionally I will find a song I like and have it on repeat for genuinely about 2 hours while painting. I, for some reason, find that to be a really good creative headspace to be in. Sometimes when that's the case, the painting ends up being named after a lyric in a song. What are the best reactions someone has had to my artwork? Some of the best reactions to my artwork, I've had some lovely ones from commissions, and depending on the backstory or the idea for the commission, it can be quite emotional, and it's amazing that it's really mind blowing that something I could do could actually have an emotional impact on who is essentially a stranger, someone I didn't know before they approached for the commission, and by the end of the process there's that kind of reaction. That's really lovely and validating. I just kind of like any reaction, really. If something I can do on my own in my room can provoke a response, like an actual response out of someone, that's what's great. And I love hearing other people's interpretations of the narratives in my work. I love hearing it, especially when it's, I'm not going to say wrong, but just not at all what I was going for. But in their head, they've created this story that's so kind of rich and so certain in their minds. I love that. That's really exciting. It kind of reminds you that the artwork lives on after me, which is so important. I don't want to feel like by the end of the painting I've worked out that story or that feeling and it doesn't serve a purpose anymore. So yeah, I love just people's interpretations of the work. Upcoming events and social handles. Currently I'm spending just a lot of time making this artwork. There are a few group shows and things in talks right now. I always promote them on my Instagram at TomMead. But yeah, for now I'm just trying to bring as many of these ideas to life as I can. In spending as much time as I'm allowed to kind of work on these. They've been living in my head for so long, so I'm just really enjoying bringing them all to life and slowly kind of sharing them with everyone else as well. So yeah, that's where all my energy is going right now. Thank you very much.